Music, horror, art, politics, badassery. Welcome to Society 13.
Welcome to Prog-Watch with your one and only host who is the most, Prog-Watch.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Prog-Watch. This is episode 109, and this week we have an interesting band from Scotland called Comedy of Errors. But we're going to start things off with a few preliminaries, right Dave? I have Dave sitting next to me again.
Yeah, I've pretty much become a permanent guest host. So Steve Hackett's been busy. Steve Hackett's been busy, and he senses his best, but he can't be available, so I'm the next best thing on the list. Yeah, we got some interesting things we want to cover before we get into Comedy Errors. And the first thing is, as Tony and I were talking before we aired, we love all the likes we're getting. What we would like you to do is take that like and show a little bit of love with it.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of likes on some of the posts and stuff on Facebook, so if you're following that and you're liking that, thank you, I appreciate it. But I'm trying to get the likes up a little more on the Prog-Watch page itself, just so I can keep in touch with you guys a little more and let you know what we're working on for the future. I'm working on learning a little bit about Twitter. You know, they say machete don't text and squatches don't tweet, but I'm doing my best to get these big hairy thumbs to learn how to do a little bit of Twitter. So anyway, but the way that I could that you can help me to keep in touch with you would be to just like the Prog-Watch Facebook page, because then anything I tweet is going to be, send out through that page as well.
Yeah, we hate to be shamelessly, correct that we don't hate shamelessly promoting ourselves.
No.
We hate to come across as a PBS fundraiser. For the listeners overseas, PBS is public broadcasting network here in America, and it's kind of like what you'll hear on a PBS fund drive is you'll see 15 minutes of the Australian Pink Floyd.
Yeah, or something else really good like that, yeah.
And then 10 minutes of them shamelessly promoting themselves. Send us $100 and you'll get one ticket for the Australian Pink Floyd's upcoming show in October. $200. We'll get you 2 tickets.
Right.
So obviously you want to send them $200 because you ain't going to go to the show by yourself. Only a numbnuts would do that. Actually, on an aside about the Australian Pink Floyd, Tony and I think I mentioned this about a month ago. The tickets, when they are coming, in some of the better seats, are almost $450 a seat.
Crazy.
So PBS probably has a bargain there for you. I thought that for $900 I could probably fly to the UK, have lunch or dinner with Roger Waters and David Gilmour, get them to sing me a couple songs, fly back here to the States, and I'd still be ahead.
Good luck setting that up.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. But it is getting crazy, some of the ticket prices. But, that's the modern world, I guess.
But yeah, keep in touch with us. Let us know what's going on. We get some emails. We'll read them on the air. Your name will go out across the entire planet.
Right. Just like when Angus Prune called me out on the Big Train error that I made, and I thanked Angus on the next show. So, if you have comments, questions, suggestions.
Even if you hate us, let us know you hate us. Drop us a line. One guy doesn't hate us. The young man who is basically Aryan.
Aryan Lucasen. He actually liked the last show and commented on it, and and said he was honored, and I was like, no way, man, the honor was all ours.
We are honored. Young
We
man.
are honored.
We are honored. Make no mistake
And
about
I said that if because if people don't know Arion, they don't know what they're missing, and I really feel that way.
But we have a new band today. We'll be talking about Arion sometime down the road in part 2.
Right.
The new band today, Comedy of Errors, as Tony mentioned a moment ago.
Comedy of Errors, yes, they're a Scottish band that has roots going back to the 80s. They were actually formed in like 1984. Joe Kearney on vocals, Jim Johnston keyboards, John McPhee drums, Mike Bernard guitars, and Steve Stewart, who was soon replaced by Mark Spalding. Anyway, this band kicked around for a while in the 80s there, and I guess they didn't really gain any traction. They recorded a demo or two, never really put out an official album, and then they just kind of quietly disappeared in 89 or so. But
Jim Johnston, like any good artist, still kept writing and hanging on to his material, and finally got most of the original people back together, didn't he, Tom?
Right. So yeah, remarkably, in 2011 they reformed, and this time they were able to put out a couple of albums, which we're going to be sampling tonight. And the lineup on the first album, which is pretty much the same as the second album with a few minor exceptions. But again, Joe Kearney on vocals, Jim Johnston keyboards, a little bit of guitar, some backing vocals, Mark Spalding. He plays all the guitars and the bass.
And you're going to want to listen to this guy.
Yeah, this guy is good. And on the first album, they also had Bruce Levick on drums and a little incidental bass played by Hugh Montgomery.
Jim Johnston writes most, if not all, the music, but I'm telling you what, Mark Spalding is like his yang. Just brings a lot of life. Obviously, I'm sure Jim would agree, even though, sadly, Mark is leaving the band.
Yeah, that's what Dave pointed out to me. I hadn't seen that.
He says, it's on there, the website actually, that he just doesn't have enough hours in the day to do everything he would want. Apparently it's a very amiable break. And he has already heard some of the demos for the third Comedy of Errors album, and he's pretty much psyched. And I'm paraphrasing that. But he's pretty much psyched about what he's hearing, and he's excited to listen to him from the vantage point Tony and I have here in the States.
From the other side of... whatever.
So, let's get right into it, Tom.
Sure. So from the first album, which is called Disobey, and was released in 2011, we're going to play a track called Carousel. And I guess we'll let it go now.
Shines in springtime. I'm in the autumn of my years. My failing eyes gaze to far horizons of an old man's memories, and how the place has changed. How the place has changed. And over there I went to school, but who listens to tales of an old man, anachronistic fool? And all I have to keep me company is the memory of friends dead long ago. And all I have to keep me company. If it's carried in the heart, but the tragedy of circumstance meant our lives were spent apart. The unfulfilled longing of my youth is with me still. Was it yesterday? Was it yesterday? The coming of age is not the coming of wisdom. Experience destroys my sense of mystery. Concentrate hard, but I can't seem to remember.
right, once again, that was Carousel from the Disobey album, Comedy of Errors, 2011.
I'm guessing, Tone, that this was the album after 20 years of writing. He's got a lot of those years packed into this album, and I think it reflects in the album. Carousel was a very good choice, I think, you made, because you can see that throughout the entire song.
Right. It's a kind of a contemplative song, I guess. A lot of the lyrical subject matter deals with getting older, which after being out of the scene for 20 years and coming back, these guys are probably a little bit older than they were, obviously, by about 20 years or so.
They're probably about as old as we are, man.
Yeah, they got to be up there. But yeah, being older, looking back on his life, a lot about memories and things. But I really I think this has a lot of pretty cool prog type elements in it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too, Tom. The song from the opening intro, like an acoustic piano.
Very spacey kind of,
right,
and then the picking guitar,
You can hear Spalding coming in right here. And
some leads right off the bat, yeah.
Exactly. It moves, and like you would expect a song of this length, different emotions, different tempos, different feelings that it creates, and it bounces around like a carousel might throw you round and round.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the thematic element, obviously. There is also a little part in there that reminds you kind of carousel type music, where there's some keyboard and it's very like...
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
It's got, and then it turns more intense. But yeah, there's a lot of up and down on most of these songs. I think there's a lot of dynamics and almost like a roller coaster effect where it's mellow, then it picks up and it gets more intense, then it comes down again, then it gets more intense.
Yeah, it's almost like I was talking with Tony before we went on the air. Melodramatic, which is a writer, it's a word that sometimes has come under, I think, unjust criticism. There's nothing wrong with a song or a movie or a TV show being melodramatic. You just don't want it to get too sappy, and I don't think that is going on here. It does create emotion in you. The term that I saw in looking at was neo-prog, which is an emotional type, very emotional type prog. Prog, unfortunately, I think has got a bum rap since we were kids, telling about being unemotionless, which is why most women never really gravitated to the field.
Well, that's a pile of crap.
So, I've seen interviews with like Alex Lifeson in Rush, for example. Keith Emerson, in one of the new editions of Prog, actually said pretty much the only women in our audience were dragged there by their husband.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's true. It always was more of a male thing. I'm not going to say any more about that because I'm not going to inflame any of our female listeners because I'm sure there are a few out there. And I applaud you, ladies.
And my wife loves prog music as well too.
Mine doesn't. Mine's listening to pop music, and I get into arguments with her all the time about it.
Well, because of that, there's a lot of influences, Tone, on the song I think we could cover. And the biggest thing we were talking about is, again, Spalding's guitar work is just brilliant. We'll get more into that.
It's fantastic.
He also plays bass.
Right.
And his bass playing really shows.
Right,
on this
I
song.
pointed that out. And on the next song that we're going to play also, there's some really great bass work. And that's something we haven't really touched on. I mean, I talked about some of the hallmarks of prog along the way here, but I think that this is one that I've been remiss that I haven't discussed the importance of bass in prog.
And Tony should be hard on himself because he's primarily a drummer, and that's that rhythm section, and him and the bass player are like, green eggs and ham. So shame on Tony for not bringing up the bass. I'm a guitar player. We tend to ignore all you guys.
I play bass too. I've played bass in bands. But I guess probably if you want to look at bass in prog, probably you're going back into the 60s. You're going back to Paul McCartney, John Entwistle. These guys started bringing the bass out of just being thump, thump, thump in the background, and like playing like more melodic lines and really bringing it out. Even pioneering with a more trebly sound. The Rickenbackers, John Entwistle invented roto sound strings to get a more twangy sound. And I think all of this like kind of culminated with the Doctor, the master, Chris Squire from Yes, is probably one of the most influential bass players that ever walked the face of the planet. Obviously, a little later, guys like Geddy Lee are coming along. But I think you still hear the influence of what Squire was doing in the early 70s with Yes. You still hear it in prog today. It's a twangier, treblier sound. The bass it's probably a Rickenbacker bass because, you got to have the right instrument to make the right kind of sound. And even just the style of play, with the bass being a little more prominent sometimes. And, most prog bands have a pretty good bass player.
And this one, actually, Mark Spalding is a guitar player, and he's playing bass like it's a guitar.
Yeah.
Really, really. In this song, it shows, I actually wrote down about 3:30 in. There's a jam that goes off, and Spalding is just all over that bass.
Yeah.
Just really like it's eye-popping and it's eye-opening.
Yeah, and on the next song too, there's some pretty nice bass work that we'll talk about there.
Before we do that, Tony,
Okay.
I'd like to spend a minute or two just talking about the rest of the album.
Sure.
My favorite song on here was the title track, which is the first song, Disobey. It's a great, I think, opening. It almost, not in terms of music or anything, but the feel I got was almost like Welcome Back, My Friends. It just starts and just goes to that type of, it's a very positive type sound, whereas a lot of the stuff on here tends to be like melodramatic, like we were talking about, emotional. This is really, it's my favorite song on the album. And their follow-up, the second song called Jekyll, I thought was a perfect follow-up that too. Not as much of a rocker, a little bit more low-key.
Yeah.
But again, the first two songs, along with Carousel, in my opinion, are the songs that really stood out.
Yeah.
Some of the other shorter songs, the album is not bereft of songs that could be commercial.
Right.
There's a couple songs on here 4 or 5 minutes long, and to me, it was reminiscent of Asia, where you have some really talented, skilled playing, trying to put together short, catchy pop tunes, a la Asia, to help sell. And for as much as, we all like our 10, 15-minute songs, you got to make money off some of this stuff. Sometimes. You need the commercial hit to appeal to the masses. Some of the songs on here, more the middle of the road, I thought could have been Yesterday. Is one of it's about 5.5, 6 minutes long. Almost sounds like, to me it sounded like if Rush met Styx.
Yeah.
In fact, when I was listening to this, I kept saying, Carney sounds like somebody, who's he sound? And after a while, he sounds like if Dennis DeYoung
had a Scottish accent.
Exactly. And a lot of the piano playing sounds like it might have been Styx as well, too. And you don't ever hear Styx talked about in Prague. And Dennis DeYoung was what got him thrown out of the band, because he was doing more conceptual, theatrical type pieces.
Yeah.
That the rest of the guys just, you're out of here. That's kind of hard to do when, he's the guy that started it.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought about the rest of the album. A good starting point.
20 years in the making. Yeah.
But you could tell that the next one was going to be a lot tighter. And it was.
All right. I guess with that, we'll move on to the next one. The second album is actually called Fanfare and Fantasy, and was released in 2013. And the first song we're going to hear from that is the opening track called Fanfare for the Brokenhearted.
Please don't mind me asking if it's all the same. To me it's my life, to you it's a game. Where is the game in all of this pain? Let her light shine on me now. Cast your sorrows on the water of despair. Plant your hopes upon the ground. Let it grow and flower into bloom in the garden of your mind. Cast your dreams into the darkness of the night. Catching hold, we share our fantasy. Let our dreams entwine our separate worlds. Join forever, we are one. Join forever, we are one. I can reach to your horizon. I can see into your heart. I can feel a strong connection that can never break apart. Get the feeling it's not quite the way it seems. Another time and place, I step out of this dream. We're the masters of existence. We consume the rising sun. Can you hear at night my silent scream? The worst is yet to come. Please don't mind me asking if it's all the same. To me, it's my life. To you, it's a game. Where is the game in all of this pain? Let her light shine on me.
Seems so real. So real. So echoes inside this space.
Again, that was Fanfare for the Brokenhearted from the Fanfare and Fantasy album by Comedy of Errors, which was released in 2013.
It's the opening track on the album.
Opening track.
Again, a kick-ass. I love kick-ass openers.
Very plaintive beginning with like
Sure.
just the voice and the piano, very understated, you know.
And when Spalding does come in,
And then when Spalding comes in, I have it in my notes here. Yep.
his runs are more complimentary. And that's not even a good word. I'm embarrassed as a writer. I can't think of the more appropriate word. It just gels.
Synergistic.
It's really, I just really had come to admire this guy.
Yeah,
From these
yeah.
two albums, he's really a standout.
When you think
player.
of him, he's doing all the excellent bass you're hearing, plus all the guitar work. I mean, it's
Some of my the guitars that he's playing on here, more the acoustic level ones, reminded me actually of the way Steve Howe plays on Turn of the Century. I'm going for the one.
oh, okay.
Really nice build up. The music is, I have here, emblematic of what a broken heart person might feel like.
Okay.
And the thing about Tony and I were laughing because the music is not reminiscent, I think, of the band's name. And I think band names are important. And Comedy of Errors, I think, not a good name for the type of quality of music these guys are putting out.
Maybe. Yeah.
I would think Quality Errors, you might hear something like Joe's Garage, Frank Zappa. That could be called Comedy of Errors. The music is smooth. And I think band names are important. A good friend of Tony and mine years and years ago, we discovered Genesis solely based on the name Genesis. We wanted to go to a concert. We had some money in our pocket. We saw who was on the board. We had never heard of them at the time. Thought, well, they got to be a cool band. Their name's Genesis. And it was their Wind and Wuthering tour. And we were 17 at the time, 16 or 17.
You math majors can now figure out Dave's exact age.
Yeah, okay. I can feel my face blushing here. And he wants to do YouTube video of this. I'm going to bring pictures of me in when I was 25 and looking cool instead of the old fart that I am now. Anyways, that would actually be my only criticism of the band from what I've heard. I wish they had a cooler name.
Yeah, maybe they just kind of were looking at everything that happened to eventually get them to where they are, and you know
That's a good point.
it probably had something to do with
That's
it.
a good point.
Just all, you know, how they were kicking around in the 80s and they had some momentum, and then just things just kind of fizzled and fell apart, and
But be careful,
suddenly
guys.
it comes
Right.
comes back around. You
But
know?
be careful, guys. If you go do a show and it says Comedy Errors on the marquee out front, don't be surprised if some people show up expecting to see Shakespeare in the park.
It's true. Because, yeah, we were doing research. Dave was saying he'd see one or two things about this band, and then the rest was all Shakespeare
All
stuff.
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the song and the album. A great kick-ass opener. And for as much as I loved a couple of the tracks on the other one, including the title track, Disobey, I thought this was the best song on the two albums.
Yeah, it's a good track. I'm a little partial to the Cause myself, the next track, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But again, you've got some great like roller coaster like up and down on this. You know, it's mellow. There's a little bit of this percussion that kicks in,
Right.
you know, and then you get like a choir, maybe Mellotron. Hey, I wanted to mention on the last track too. Heard Mellotron on that one too. I love the Mellotron.
I guess you can't have a prog band without having a Mellotron somewhere.
Somewhere probably. But you know, again, it was up, and then it would bring you down, and then it would intensify again, and then it would bring you down.
It's
you know?
Tony. That's a good word. Roller coaster. It's definitely a good roller coaster ride, with all the thrills and excitements in all the right places. It doesn't disappoint anywhere. Like on some coasters, a little weak hill here. Not in this song. It's a great A1 ride.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move things along and get to the last song that we're going to play. We're only playing 3 this time, but it's almost 30 minutes of music. We picked some long ones this time and let it rip because we only had 2 albums, so it was a little easier for us to explore some of the longer stuff. But some of the longer stuff was also just some of the better stuff.
Well, that's my influence on Tony. I love the longer stuff.
Well, I
I was
was-
beating them up. And you can't get into a song for 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes. You need a song to grow and have life, and you can't do that in 5 minutes.
I'm sure you guys have heard Dave say that he likes the longer ones.
I like the long stuff, guys. Keep it coming.
So, yeah, we're making Dave happy this week.
Dave's
Three 9+ minute
Dave's
songs.
excited this week, and they're good 9+
and
minute
they're
songs,
good.
too.
They're good. So anyway, we're going to roll on. This is also from the Fanfare and Fantasy album from 2013. This one's called The Cause.
There's a reason for the cause. Misty-eyed and sentimental, singing songs of martyrdom and heroes long since dead. The whiskey in his glass will wash away the debt. In the comfort of his people, he knows there is a reason for the cause. They separate religion and they separate the schools, dividing streets and houses, eyes covered up with wool. They look themselves with ancient songs which tug the heart and fill the eyes. He knows there is a reason. There's got to be a reason for the cause. They separate the schools, dividing streets and houses. Eyes covered up with wool, delude themselves with ancient songs which tug the heart and fill the eyes. He knows there is a reason. There's got to be a reason for the cause. The cause. The
Once again, that was The Cause from Comedy of Errors 2013 album called Fanfare and Fantasy.
Again, as Tony was saying, I'm a happy camper. Another long song with peaks and valleys, like you would expect to hear. Good jamming, reminiscent of Genesis, and I even heard a little bit of, very minute little, but a couple seconds here and there, it sounded like it might have been pulled from Thick as a Brick.
I was going to mention something along those lines too. You're mentioning Thick as a Brick. I mean, Jethro Tull obviously had like kind of a folk. You know, he was the band. Ian Anderson brought in like a mishmash of so many different elements into that band, but one of which was, you know, English folk music. And I thought I heard some stuff in the middle of this song. There's you know, when they kick in, there's like a rocking middle part, and you get some nice keyboard work. Then there's some guitar work that actually I thought I heard like kind of Celtic music influence in some of the runs that Spalding was playing in there.
Yeah, I heard that too. It's interesting you mentioned about the keyboards, because as a guitar player I tend to listen to that, or that's what jumps out at me the most. And Jim Johnson might feel a little bit neglected because I've been spending so much time talking about Mark Spalding.
Yeah.
But Jim, the playing on here and the composition, thumbs up on both ends. And I love those choral type keyboards.
Yes, yeah. They had a lot of drama. You mentioned the drama before, and I think they build drama, you know, with some of that. You know, there's the drama and just that opening thing, you know, with the big guitar chords. That was really dramatic too. And then they reiterated that after that middle part that I was talking about, where they had the Celtic sound and guitar. I
actually have emotions written down on my notes, and 3 words I have here are, it's majestic and beautiful. And sometimes that's not a good mix. It's either majestic or beautiful. Beautiful sometimes subtle, not overwhelming, just awestruck. But majestic is like big, grand, huge. And a lot of people I don't think would associate beautiful with big, grand, huge. But the keyboards, that's what I have down here for you, Jim. Majestic, but beautiful. And again, sorry if it seems like you might be sitting there, well, I wrote all this stuff. How come he's talking about Mark? Yeah. As a guitar player, I'm going to do that. But I love the keyboards on here, the songwriting on here. I enjoyed your first one, But this one I thought from A to Z, much, much better.
Yeah, it's a solid album. There's a lot of stuff that we aren't going to get a chance to cover. We did cover 18 minutes of this album pretty much, right?
Yeah, the only other real long one we didn't do, Tone, was
Right.
the last one on here called The Answer. And it's funny, I have on the intro on there, almost seems like a little bit of a knife, early Genesis from Trespass, a knife-like intro, but not as strong or as powerful. And then it starts to, again, really rock out at about 1:30. And as Tony would like to say, it's like riding the roller coaster, the peaks and valleys on that. A lot of longer songs on this one.
Yeah, at times, is it Motet and Gaillard? That was an interesting track, too. You can hear a little bit of classical influence on some of that.
Yeah, I thought, again, everything on here was tighter. Now, ironically, if any of this, you would figure after the 20-some years where he's just writing and recording on his own, and then Disobey would come out, you would figure, well, all his material's gone. He went and shot his load with this one album. What's he going to do for the next one?
Right.
Well, in that year or two...
No sophomore slump here.
Not at all.
No.
That's excellent term. No
Yeah.
sophomore slump. Excellent album. I even wrote at the beginning, at the end of after Disobey, when I was done listening to that on my notes, I had written that here we go. It's like in baseball. The analogy was a home run hitter trying not to strike out. And I'm sure most of our listeners overseas are at least somewhat familiar with baseball. The home run hitter needs to go up there and take his swing away. And I wrote that I'm expecting to see him swing away in future albums. And on this one he did. I think, home run.
Yeah.
With this album here. Good job, guys. Real good job.
I also like the subject matter of The Cause. It seemed like it was talking a lot about the way we break down into factions and divide ourselves, and each group gets so convinced that their way is the only way, and it's really just kind of taking a poke at that, I guess. Not really poking fun at it because it isn't really funny, because it's really tragic. That's how a lot of human relationships end. Just the way we're constantly looking to break down into little groups and then fight with each other.
Yeah, it's the lyrical content overall. We pretty much have ignored that up until now.
That's what I wanted to mention. I thought this one had, and even the carousel. There was some pretty cool, introspective stuff.
I enjoyed lyrically. Excuse me, the 4-part song at the end of Disobey.
Yeah, the Student Prince. Yeah.
The 4 parts, the lyrics I thought were really, really a step above.
I liked it, but one of the drawbacks of it was that part 1's 9 minutes, part 2 is 5, almost 6 minutes, then part 3 is 7 minutes, part 4 3.5 minutes, and I couldn't really see pulling one part out. It's too much of a suite of songs, and that would have taken up the whole.
Oh yeah,
but it's highly recommended on the first album. The Student Prince thing is a really nice suite.
Yeah, we had talked about that before, what we were going to choose, and obviously we both liked it a lot. But to play it in its entirety, what Tony's basically saying, it would be like breaking down 2112. You don't play just one or two parts of 2112.
Yeah.
You play the entire piece.
Or at least the first side or whatever,
Ditto with like we went through Thick as a Brick. You don't just play like they actually tried to do.
Yeah.
For a single on that, but you don't play parts of a suite like you said, Tom.
Right. Yeah, I didn't feel right about pulling little pieces out of it, and we couldn't play the whole thing.
But the other 3 that we do have, I think, were really good representations of the talent and songwriting ability and the playing.
Yeah, and I think
the band.
I think this is a band that you want to look out for. I am a little saddened to hear that Spalding is moving on, but hopefully, they're going to replace him with someone of equal caliber that can bring, or maybe they're going to end up getting a bass player and a guitarist. However they do it, I just hope they can continue, because I think hitting their peak. They're hitting their stride right
Well,
now.
on the website, their website, they do have the replacement for him. His name is Sam McCullough. Apparently, he's known these guys for a while, and they even say that he probably is the only logical replacement, and he's already laying tracks down on the new album. Spalding's departing words were, from what he heard, he really loves the demo so far. He's really looking forward to hearing
the album.
that from our side. And if you're not doing anything, Mark, you can always drop by here in the States, here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and maybe you can
Be on
come
the show,
and
yeah.
enthrall us with your acumen on such topics as these.
Yes. Well put, Dave.
Finally, after 10 shows, I come up with a sentence that actually sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I'm just a fan who loves this type of music.
No, I think we can all tell that Dave's a little more than that. He does a lot of background work and research, and he has an incisive way of looking at things. But anyway...
I know what I like, right?
And I like what I know. But I suppose that that's going to just about wrap it up for this week with Comedy of Errors.
Just don't forget, check out the Facebook page,
Yes,
like
please.
them, share them with everybody, and to go back for a little plug of our own again, as Tony mentioned at the outset, don't forget to...
Like Prog-Watch on Facebook, if you can. And share it with your friends. Because friends don't let friends listen to crappy music. On that note, I think we'll say adieu until next time.
We'll see you guys.
Keep progging.